Good to be speaking with you again.
Thank you. And you as well.
Thank you. The first question that I have is with regard to a specific being known as Kailah, who came in contact with the U.S. government, as I understand it, and specifically Majestic 12, and Dan Burish. Are you familiar with...
We understand what you are referring to. We may not be allowed to discuss much of this.
Okay. I was wondering, because as I understand it, this being is a hybrid between gray and human, or was?
Yes.
Okay. But not Asasani, is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. How many such hybrid races or civilizations are there between gray and 5? Interesting.
The number of humanity.
Ah.
We are one. Yael are another. There are 3 more.
So the first that we will be coming in contact with are also gray and human hybrid.
Yes, the Yael.
I see. Is that the same as the Anunnaki or no?
No.
Okay.
Very different beings.
I understand. Okay. And the Phoenix Lights ship, was that?
Yael.
Okay.
As we said, they are showing you their ships to get you used to their presence.
Well, I thank them for that.
They thank you as well. There will be more sightings.
My other question is with regard to the individual who has only revealed himself as Victor, who has also witnessed an extraterrestrial being and had some contact working or otherwise being in the Area 51 facility. I was wondering if that is Kailah or if that is a different or was a different being.
Different.
Okay. Are you able to comment on how many beings have been on Earth and in contact with governments here?
Of any type?
Well, I suppose there have probably been many over the span of human history, but
yes.
in let's say the past 100 years.
17.
Okay. And were those mostly gray, mostly hybrids?
We are not counting the grays.
I see, because they are from Earth
Parallel
originally.
reality Earth.
Yes.
Mutated human.
Okay. And are you able to comment on Timeline 1 and Timeline 2 as Burish describes? And
what do you wish to know about it?
Well, he seems to be very concerned about it, in the sense that he seems to think that there is potentially a risk, although he thinks we're on the right track, as I understand it, there could be a risk to go to what would be a timeline that wouldn't be preferential. But as you explain, as long as we are in our vibration of highest joy, we need not be concerned about which
Correct.
reality we'll end up in.
Correct. The more time you spend worrying about whether you're on a preferential timeline, that tells you you're not on the one you prefer.
Right. So basically,
it's as simple as that.
There's really nothing to be worried about, right?
It is no more complicated than that unless you want it to be.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I made an observation about the Greys and their interactions with humans.
Yes.
That they seem to have a need for control of the situation in any abduction experiences
No.
or any...
You need.
I see. Okay.
Because if, in that sense, they did not exercise the idea of the freezing of the shift in the dimension, you, by being shifted without that kind of freezing control, would possibly wind up in some other dimension out of control. Because you don't know how to navigate that way instinctively. So they are assisting by, in a sense, boxing you into a certain reality which feels like the idea of control. We understand.
Yeah.
But it's being done to prevent you from, shall we say, shooting off into another reality.
I see. Is that sort of what happened during the Montauk Project to some extent with dimensional shifting? And...
Of a different nature.
Okay.
But similar
Okay.
in principle.
And the Greys, do they not seem... I mean, it seems like they don't want to look at human emotion or understand
They do not have the capacity any longer to process that, at least not the earlier ones. Some of the later ones do.
I see.
The agenda has changed.
Yeah. It seems to me, this is my impression, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have had the, I guess, opportunities to relate to humans and try to understand more about the emotional process, but have avoided it. Is that correct?
Once again, I will repeat, because what you have just asked is actually the same question in a different clothing. The idea is they have over time made adjustments in the recognition that adjustments needed to be made in order to communicate with the humans of this reality in a more productive manner.
I see.
But the idea is that initially, in the mutation that they suffered, they eliminated the ability to emotionally relate to you. It wasn't that they were withholding intentionally. They did not have the capacity for emotional processing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Therefore, in recognizing that they were missing that component, some of the hybridization techniques and genetic alterations were done on themselves to make them more capable of understanding and processing the emotional capacities that they had mutated out of themselves so that they could work with you more closely in a more productive and compatible way. Yes. That's why the agenda has changed over time.
Okay. Well, I thank them for their adjustments and, and communication, I suppose.
Yes. Thank you.
And I guess on a final note, I was wondering if you could share with us about how old the Asasani civilization is and what types of changes have occurred since its conception to where you are presently, what you've learned, just in summary. I know it's a very large topic, but
we were much more similar to your civilization at one time in terms of the way our culture functioned. We were allowed to develop and evolve through a variety of historical epochs, so to speak. The idea, of course, is that we were always harmonious in general, but we did experience certain kinds of negative phenomenology early in our history that we were given an opportunity to transform. The idea, in a sense, is that we are about 3,000 years ahead of you. You understand?
Yes.
Functionally speaking. Because even though you might think our dimension is only off by a vibration of 300 years, we are, in that sense, operating at a dimensional frequency 10 times faster than your own.
Okay.
So the idea is that we used to have what you would consider to be simple technologies, things like sailboats and such. We used to suffer from disease. We used to have corporeal sex. We used to eat. We used to sleep.
Oh, okay.
No more. Now we have evolved to the idea of being less physical and more energetic, quasi-physicality, which means we do not eat, we do not sleep. The idea of joining is an energy act. The idea of allowing new beings to be born on our planet is something that is created out of the idea of an energy field that they solidify in at the age of 3. Therefore, you will find that we are now quite different from your society, even though we were allowed to experience certain ideas to allow us to overcome and transform similar things to what you have experienced, but never to the degree of limitation that you experienced.
I see. Has it been a lot of fun?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for your sharing. Oh, one final question. It's a quick one. We have this software now on Earth called Google Earth.
Yes.
And it has a space view where you can look at all the stars and constellations and so on.
Yes.
Would you be able to give coordinates for Asasani?
We have said, in that sense, that we are in another dimensional plane, so you cannot see our star from your dimension. You would have to make a vibrational shift in order to see our version of the galaxy. But to overlap our galaxy with yours from dimension to dimension, our solar system is approximately 500 light years in the direction of the Orion constellation. All right?
Okay, thank you very much.
That is our coordinates.
Okay, thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.